So the NFL offseason that never sleeps. The Kansas City Chiefs are trading Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins. It's just this offseason, last year I thought was the craziest season of all time. This is easily the craziest offseason of all time. Tyreek Hill is a Miami Dolphin, and, some people have sort of made the jokes about, Tua can't throw the ball deep anyways, so who cares? That's not really true. Tua has an okay deep ball. His arm strength or lack thereof really becomes more of an issue in that 15 to 20 range. Deep down the field, it's more of a thing of accuracy, which Tua is fine with. So I'm not as concerned. Listen, obviously the Hill and Mahomes matchup was perfect. You're not going to be able to recreate that, but it should still work. I want to talk about this from Miami's perspective first. So first, let's just talk about what they gave up. So you gave up a good amount of draft picks. You gave up a 2021 first and a 2021 second, along with multiple fourth-round picks and a sixth-round pick. So 5 total picks. You're giving up 5 players for 1 player, and some of those players are going to be good. This was not a cheap deal for the Miami Dolphins, but I feel like these things get different because, we've seen this a couple of times now. Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, and now Tyreek Hill, where you're getting traded, and kind of accepting part of this trade is that you're also going to have to give up a big contract on top of this. It's not just going to be the trade itself. It's also going to be you're going to have to pay Tyreek Hill, and he'll probably want the most money in the NFL, right? That tends to be how these guys want this stuff. So you're looking at $25+ million for Tyreek Hill. However, for the Miami Dolphins, you can kind of do this, right? Because you are paying Tua not that much money. So he's on the rookie contract. And this is actually why I liked the Dolphins heading into this offseason. If you listen to, I made a podcast, Kyle and I did, of kind of giving our predictions for who's most likely to win the Super Bowl before the offseason even started. I picked the Dolphins earlier than a lot of people expected them to go when we were doing like draft style. And a big part of why I did that was because I felt like, they have the draft capital. Tua might not be an elite quarterback, but he's a solid quarterback on a rookie deal. And quite frankly, that's the next best thing then to having an elite quarterback is having a good one on a rookie deal. And Tua is that. And so then you can go out and you have the ability to go out and make this kind of move where we've seen the Dolphins in the past give up star players for draft capital. And quite frankly, I think teams are starting to learn, hey, when you do that, you don't necessarily get a guarantee at a star back. You have to also draft well. For the Dolphins, similar to the Raiders, who in the past have had extra draft capital, are kind of saying, you know what, let's just get the star player. Let's be on the other end of one of these trades. And I think it's really going to work out. I think the Dolphins offense should be scary next year. Tyreek Hill is elite. He's amazing and maybe the best wide receiver in football. You add him next to Jalen Waddle, who can now be a number 2 option. This is very scary as well. You still have Devontae Parker in there. You still have Mike Gesicki in there. And this Mike McDaniel, which is sort of a Kyle Shanahan-esque scheme. I think this should be awesome. And I think Tyreek Hill fits that scheme very well. Yes, okay, Tyreek Hill is a deep threat. But you know where else speed comes into play is all those over the middle and underneath routes that he also did a lot in Kansas City. And, quite frankly, it's not that different from what Andy Reid would run. It's a lot further down the field. It's a lot more of a vertical style offense, but a lot of the routes will still carry over. And Hill was great at those underneath routes. He should still be great at those for Miami. So, quite frankly, I have no issue with this move from the Dolphins' perspective. I like it. I think the Dolphins are a team that they can compete. And, the AFC teams that have a chance to compete, I feel like we added one more, right? Because the Chiefs are still going to be contenders of Mahomes no matter what. But the Miami Dolphins now kind of have joined the fight, I feel like, with this move. Apparently the contract, according to Rappaport, will be somewhere around $70 million or so guaranteed for 3 years. That's what they're saying. So that's an interesting wrinkle on top of this. And from the Chiefs' perspective, quite frankly, I don't like it. I don't know. I just feel like, listen, as a whole, I think there's nothing wrong with getting rid of a good player who's going to get paid and getting good assets back for it. They got good assets back. They got 5 draft picks, a first and a second, and then a couple other decent draft picks. So, the capital they got back is fine, and that's the logic, right? Let's get good capital back from Tyreek Hill, and then we can use the cap space and the capital. It's not really cap space. People get confused about this stuff. It's money matters, but it matters in terms of how much the Chiefs are willing to spend, not because of the cap space itself. They could work the cap around if they wanted to, but the money itself, you are only going to spend a certain amount each year. That's the main thing to look at. But you save the money so you can use that on other guys, which they kind of used it last year, right, on some of these offensive linemen, which personally I'd much rather have Tyreek Hill than I would have Orlando Brown Jr., with all due respect to Orlando Brown Jr., and that's kind of where I view this, where when the Ravens gave up Orlando Brown Jr., that's kind of was the mindset of, we're saving money here and getting draft capital. The Chiefs, you're doing that, but are you going to be able to use that money and that draft capital to get a Tyreek Hill? No, I mean, you're not. You're not going to be able to do that, almost definitely. What you might be able to do is, get several different players, and maybe the logic is, hey, football, kind of a sport about depth more so than it is a sport about just having the, one star. But I think it's different with wide receivers. I think that elite wide receiver matters a lot. So I like this move from the Miami Dolphins perspective. And the official contract is out now. It's a 4-year, $120 million extension with $72 million guaranteed. So that's big money, right? I mean, this is $30 million a year for 4 years. So they're paying him a good chunk of change. This is by far the biggest wide receiver contract that we have seen at this point. So they're giving him a lot of money, but at the same time, you're getting a good player. Like, the whole point of having money is to acquire a good talent, and that's what they're doing by bringing Tyreek Hill into the building. So that's why I'm going to say I'm a fan of this move, and why I think that it logically makes sense to go after a Tyreek Hill here. For the Chiefs, you have wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster as your number one wide receiver. Don't know if I love that, but again, they might not be done. They've talked about Marquez Valdez-Scantling as an option, which, listen, I like Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and I think he'll fit that offense well. In a vacuum, I like that fit. But again, there's just a difference between Marquez Valdez-Scantling or just like any good receiver versus Tyreek Hill. He's on another level. And if if you follow this channel, I am very much a fan of wide receivers matter. Wide receivers are how you win games in the NFL. Quarterback and wide receiver. Those are the first two positions you should focus on. So that's why, obviously Kansas City has a quarterback. Kansas City's not dead, but like I'm very interested in seeing, what is Mahomes like in a post Tyreek Hill world? Like, this is going to be very fascinating. Like, he can't be as good. He'll still be good. Mahomes is awesome. But will he be, will it be more of what we saw last year, where I thought last year a big issue when things went wrong for Kansas City was the lack of having a number two. Well, they got the number two with Juju Smith-Schuster, but now they need a number one. So this is where things get tricky. So again, we'll see what they use the draft capital on. Maybe they love someone in the draft, and that's why they're willing to make this move. But it's definitely interesting. And for the Dolphins, I mean, Teron Armstead, Connor Williams, who I like. I think he's underrated. Couple of backs in the backfield, and now Tyreek Hill. Dolphins looking scary. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.